While we're still standing, will you just have 1 minute silence for late Alderman Smith, who died very recently, whose council was a former member, and the council was still 29 years on the council. Just a 1 minute silence, please. Thank you very much, Chairman. While we're still standing, we'll just proceed with my chapter in the press. Yeah?
St. Paul writes, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. Whatever you have learnt or received or heard from me, or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace be with you all. Almighty Father, whose Son Jesus Christ has taught us that what we do for the least of our brothers and sisters, we also do for him. Give us the will to be the servant of all, who gave his life and died for us, is alive and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God now and forever. Amen. Lord, we pray for all government officials and especially the members of this council. We pray for the Mayor that he may conduct the affairs of this council and the business this evening with wisdom and true justice, and for the party leaders and the difficult decisions they will have to take. We pray for all members of this council that they will truly represent the needs of your people and work in harmony with the advancement of all men, women and children throughout this borough. And grant to all leaders of our nation and borough gifts of wisdom, justice and fortitude. They may conduct their affairs in accordance with the will of God, and may they strive to form bonds of unity within this council and within this borough, work for the common good and the prosperity and peace of all. Amen.
God grant us no cuts.
Thank you, David. Please be seated. Could I just start off the proceedings by welcoming all the people that are in our public gallery, but I would remind you that you're at a council meeting, you're not taking part in the meeting, so please don't take part in the meeting at all, just listen. So, did I get off to a bad start now, do you think? Yeah. Okay, we really do want you to be here, we're glad you're here, but we want you to just sit and listen to the whole proceedings. Okay? Now, item number 1, members are required to declare any declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? Councillor Green.
Yeah, only I think so far as we've got an item on about the school's budget by nature of my wife's employment.
Any other declarations of interest?
I'm sure you're going to say a block thing for all of us in the schools and business.
Any other declarations of interest? No? Okay, in that case we'll move on to item number 2, which is Mayor's Communications. I'm bringing forward item 7 here, that is the Pensby by-election. You'll all be pleased, I'm sure, to welcome Councillor Philip Brightmore, who has been elected last week as the Councillor for Pensby, etc. Welcome to you, Councillor Brightmore. We hope you have a long and happy stay here. Of course you do. You did not too long right here from over here. Apologies for absence. We've had an apology from Councillor David Elderson. Any other?
Mr Mayor, I understand Councillor Lewis is running a little late, but he will be with us.
That's good.
Here we go.
Any other apologies for absence? On the subject of Councillor David Elson, you'd be glad to know that he's making good progress. But he's had a really tough time, as you probably know. Some of you I know have spoken to, and he said how pleased he is to help so many people. And we wish that he'd be back very soon. Okay? On the other issue, Mayor's announcements, you know that we, on the advice of the officers, I called a special meeting of the council on the 15th of April to deal with some considerable constitutional changes. I gather from Secretary today that there is some delay and he wants a little bit more time. And so probably, but not definitely, probably that is not the date of the special meeting. And it probably will be on the 30th. Probably on the 30th, Tuesday the 30th, but we'll let you know. And this does mean Councillor Hodgson will be able to go away on holiday as planned. That's not the reason why we're changing. I've just had a request. Because we have a large number of people in the Civic Hall listening to our deliberations and clinging on every word, obviously, you recommend to speak into your microphone in the way I'm speaking to mine now, when you are speaking, okay? That's the end of my mayor's communications. Item number 3 is petitions. We have 2 petitions which have the... to receive petitions, yeah. We have firstly petitions from members. I'm just reminding. There's members first. So, are there any members who wish to present petitions? Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a petition. Sorry, it's a lengthy petition. I haven't got the total number of names from people associated with the Eastern Day Centre to request that the council keeps the centre open. So.
Councillor Mrs. Hudson.
Mr Mayor, I have a petition from several parents against the closure of the Heswell Day Centre.
We do have the statutory... Oh, we have one. Sorry, from the Deputy Mayor. Gee, I was wondering why he was standing up. Mr Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mine is also in relation to Eastern Day Centre, and it's a petition of over 600 signatures.
Okay. And that brings us on to the second half petition, which is petitions understanding over 34.1. They are petitions for information where there's such a significant number of signatories that the person is entitled to come and speak in the council here. And we've got 2 of them. And the first one is a petition of 1,631 signatures submitted by New Ferry Residents Association. They're opposing closures to Babington New Ferry Youth Club. And we have Mr Warren, who is now invited to speak, to address the council. Mr Ward, who is entitled to address the council for 5 minutes. Okay, Mr Ward?
Just as background for you, I am the youth representative on the Bromborough and Eastern Area Forum and a senior member of the Youth Club. I am here today to express my gratitude for Babington Youth Centre being kept open if you pass this budget proposal. I also wish to state my concerns regarding the youth service on Wirral. Before I begin, I would like to thank my local councillor, Steve Niblock, Margaret Price, Mark Craig and Carl Evans for their exemplary effort in saving our local youth centre, and also the local businesses and communities who have signed the petitions. and also the parents of our members, who have also collected signatures and have expressed their passion towards this community and the future of their children. Firstly, I'd like to start by thanking you for hopefully making the wise decision of keeping open Bemerton Youth Centre. The petition we handed in of 1,777 signatures altogether, and this had the equivalent of over 1/3 of the population of New Ferry. This shows that the Youth Club has played a substantial role for many of the population, both past and present, and will continue to do so in the future. The Bemerton Youth Club is situated in New Ferry, and it serves a community which is in the top 7% of deprived areas in England and Wales, with the area being in the top 3% deprived with regard to unemployment, and the same for health deprivation. Closing us down could most probably increase percentage, and also it will contradict this Labour Council's aspirations and everything it stands for. The downward trend in antisocial behaviour and fires in the Bromber ward, which have been highlighted by the police and fire service, would very likely end, causing unnecessary pressure on already stressed resources. The Youth Club has been open for over 50 years, and it has provided its members with a warm, welcoming place which allows young people to let off steam and to socialise without causing any member of the wider community annoyance or getting mixed up with the wrong type of people. Your decision will keep young people from Rockferry, Bebington, Port Sunley and New Ferry safer and supervised for at least another year. Secondly, I must state my concern regarding the youth centre, which I understand will be built in Birkenhead. I have heard this described as a super club. To me, every youth club is super, and they all do an extremely vital job in ensuring the youth of Wirral have a good quality supervision and places to go when in need. This super club will cost over £1 million, and I was disgusted when I heard this figure. And the question many young people ask me is, why not invest £1 million into all the satellite youth clubs which already exist? This would surely be more beneficial than creating an apparent super club, which would be more costly in the long run than having smaller youth clubs which already have a definite attendance of young people. I have also been told by the young people that I represent in my area that they won't attend somewhere in Birkenhead or Eastham when they have a perfectly situated youth club right on their doorstep. Why should they have to pay ridiculous amounts of money a week on transport when it will cost nothing to travel to their local centre on foot? Times are hard, and we know this, and surely you do too, but this super club is not the right path for Wirral Council to take. Why not consult with the youth representatives and discuss with us your options, because surely we must have an input in what you do to our youth clubs. I have always described Bemerton and New Ferry Youth Centre as the beating heart of New Ferry. We can keep it beating and keep New Ferry Club running and improving with age, but if you call the youth club off, you're practically signing the death warrant for an already deprived community. So thank you for keeping Bemerton Youth Centre open for a year extra, but please take the advice from the youth of South Wirral. This super club is no way for this council to move forward from the recession, and certainly no way of beating these Tory cuts imposed on the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. We'll throw that open to members' debate. Any members wish to comment?
Yeah,
Councillor Davis.
I was simply going to, well, do a couple of things really, in respect to this petition and the next one. Clearly, thank the lead petitioner for, I think, a very clear, concise speech, and the people who signed the petition. But given that the issues concern budgetary matters, my suggestion would be that we note the petition and that we take account of the points raised as part of the wider budget debate we're going to have very shortly in this council chamber.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak? No? Well, the leader has proposed. Is that agreed, the leader's proposition? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ward. That's going to be taken into wider debate the rest later on this evening. Thank you. That brings us to the next petition, which is 14,402 signatures from Wirral Unison. closures of day centres for people with learning difficulties, etc. And we have Brenda Hall here. Have we, Brenda? Yes, hi, Brenda. You're going to speak for 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes on your petition.
Good evening, Brenda Hall on behalf of Unison. I'm speaking on behalf of Unite, staff members, carers, parents and service users who have signed our petition. We have 14,402 signatures in comparison to the poor response to the What Really Matters consultation. Regarding the proposals to close one large day centre and the reduction of respite care currently provided at Silverdale and Gateford Court being made to make savings, but these savings have a very detrimental impact on the people who use these services, their carers and their parents, the staff members who could be made redundant, and the impact this will have on the local economy in our communities. The closure of one large day centre adds the current provision of 3 large and 3 smaller day centres, and the reduction in respite care will lead to restricted choice at a time of a growing client base, increased travel time for those who use the service, the loss of skilled and dedicated staff, greater pressure placed upon the carer and parents. More should and can be done to utilise this valuable council resource. Greater promotion amongst younger people, allowing greater creativity in the service, freeing the service from unnecessary bureaucratic restrictions, utilising the buildings and community assets, maybe joint partnerships with the NHS and the funding to provide the services, introducing standard charges for the use of day centres to make it fairer when the cost comes out of their personal budget. The proposed move to social enterprises or mutual status for all day services proposed in the details of consultation. This is privatisation by any other name, and despite this being a major change, it is not mentioned in the What Really Matters questionnaire. There are many questions that remain to be posed, yet alone answered about this option.
Brenda, I'm just going to sorry to interrupt you. We've had a news from the other room. They can't hear you. So can you get nice and close to the microphone, please? Thank you very much.
The effect upon the skilled and dedicated workforce in place, the long-term viability of the service, including funding, the role of the service, people or profit, the effect it will have on service users, carers and parents. This is the impact it had for one carer parent when told about the proposal. When the proposal to close one of the 3 large day centres was announced by Wirral Council in December 2012, I was shocked and disappointed that this would happen to the service. These emotions quickly turned to fear and anger, and although there was a growing determination by other carers and parents like me to meet the threat to close one of our centres. Discussions have been going on throughout 2011 and 2012 with regard to the day centres and how they could be transformed. We attended meetings to be informed about personal budgets and social enterprises and how this was a way forward for service provision. We understood that personal budgets would give more choice to the centre user and results in the service being led by the centre user. This proposal was a hammer blow. The reasons given to justify this proposal quickly came under scrutiny. Attendance figures have and continue to be challenged. Fear for future provision grew as we were asked whether they will find the capacity to meet the needs of the service users. Inevitably, they say they will take every avenue to open to protect the services for the most vulnerable. For them, they can't walk away from their caring responsibilities. They're 24/7, 365 days a year, and they understand the impact it's going to have them as a family. The proposals in pushing these proposals through, when you compare to some of the local authorities surrounding and in other areas, interventions prove more effective in mitigating the impact of cuts to social care budgets when they involve using the service users in designing and planning the service, with staff involvement, more integrated services and a commitment to personalisation. How can the closure of one large day centre and the reduction in respite care not have an impact on the most vulnerable and their carers or parents? Do you as a council not realise what the day centre...
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, we have now gone over your 5 minutes, so can you just wind up what you've got to say first?
You interrupted that
Twice.
The social aspect of meeting with and the companionship, how difficult would it be for them to maintain when they could be split up and put into the remaining day centres? What choice will they have with the location, time travel, and also the activities they're currently joining? The Council has quite rightly identified the protection of vulnerable people as its #1 priority. However, these proposals' changes will have a devastating effect on the service provided to vulnerable people and the staff who provide these services. We, the union, staff, parents and carers and service users, are asking you to hold back on making any closure announcements tonight. Allow us time and the opportunity to work with the department and to look for ways of improving the quality of life for day centre users and their parents and carers, to share ideas and explore options and use creative solutions to this budget problem. Please reconsider your decision tonight, as 14,402 people are asking you to. This represents double the number of the responses you received to the What Really Matters questionnaire.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Would members now like to debate that petition?
Just to be consistent with the first petition, I was going to move a similar suggestion that we deal with. We thank the petitioner and the people who signed the petition and debate the issues raised as part of the budget debate, which we'll come to next on the agenda.
Okay, is that agreed? Councillor Green.
Only to yeah, Mr. Mayor, only it was, I think it does mark, and we should thank Brenda for her the presentation of the case that she's put across so eloquently. We certainly refer to the care services, day services in our amendment, and we are certainly intending to talk about that during the budget debate. So I'd certainly support the leader's view. We should take it as part of the budget discussion.
Members, is that agreed? Okay, that's agreed then. Thank you very much to both petitioners. We're now going to move on to item number 4, which is minutes of the meeting on the 11th of February. Am I correct, Nicola? Moved? Agreed? Okay. That brings us on to item number 5, leaders' announcements. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few very short announcements from myself. Can I add my welcome to Councillor Phil Brightmore to the Council Chamber. I'm sure he'll do a great job for his constituents and the Council. I also add my sincere condolences to the passing of former Councillor Arthur Smith. I succeeded him in Birkenhead Ward in 1991. He was very much somebody I looked up to and learnt from, and I think his passing will be sadly mourned, and I would just like to send my sincere condolences to all members of Arthur's family. Just a couple of other things, please, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to report that we've had a recent report that revealed that only 3 beaches in the northwest achieved the highest standard of bathing water quality, and these have all been in Wirral, at Mells, Morton and Wallasey. And we're looking for applying for these beaches to be given blue flag status, which can only be attained if there is excellent water quality at a designated beach. So I would like to congratulate everybody involved in ensuring that we have reached those very high standards in those 3 beaches. Secondly, pleased to report that 12 young people from the ages of 16 to 18 from Liso and Morton East Ward who are not currently in education, employment or training have been accepted by Wirral College on a free spring summer course for 6 weeks in plumbing, brickwork and plastering. This agreement has been brokered with the local college, Wirral College, and my colleague, Councillor Anita Leach, and somebody, Jenny Jones from Liso Development Trust Job Club. I just want to mention that because I think I really encourage more initiatives like this where people who are in that need category we need to address are given the opportunity to learn a trade, and it's clearly something we need to focus on in terms of reducing our need figures. So congratulations to Anita and everybody involved in that. And then finally, Mr Mayor, congratulations to Involve North West. We were both at the event yesterday to celebrate the securing of a substantial lottery grant for 3 years. Involve North West are a voluntary organisation which provide help for people who are long-term unemployed. They provide activities for young people, provide debt advice, just to name a few. And you were kind enough, Mr Mayor, together with the Mayoress, to formally open their offices in Tranmere, and I'm really delighted that they've been successful in securing this grant, and I wish them the best of luck in the future. So I'd just like to mention that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Very good. Well, together with Councillor Kenny and Councillor Meaden, we certainly enjoyed opening those premises. Great. Right, that brings us on to item number 6, which is matters required.
Mr Mayor, could I ask a question about the head of law at this particular point? Could I ask why, as in previous years, all the debates are not taken together, why they are separate debates or voted on separately? In certainly all the years I've been on the council, the budget's been moved, the amendments have been moved, votes have been taken, etc., etc. This year there is a distinct change to that. I'm just wondering where that's come from. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Through you, Mr Chair. The council procedure was, in accordance with the Constitution, agreed with the 3 group leaders as part of the process, and it was also proposed by Cabinet and subsequently approved by Council on the 11th of February. The position with regards to amendments, is that ordinarily an amendment is moved and the amendment is debated before any other subsequent amendment is considered. And that is the proposal and the process that's been put on, been agreed and put forward.
Mayor, far be it from me to correct the head of law. I certainly didn't agree with this process, and I made that clear. Now, to be fair, it didn't go through council last time, and we explained that, so we haven't got what we've got. But I certainly did not agree to this process, and I made that point clear to Sergio when he was discussing with me. And I think I even followed that up with an email. So, just to be absolutely clear.
But, Councillor Kelly.
Thanks to them. On that point, I appreciate, there's legalistics around this, but at the end of the day, people have come to hear a budget debate, and in my view, they should hear a budget debate, and it shouldn't be complicated by procedures. The Constitution is there as a backstop to prevent us airing into areas of difficulty. It shouldn't be there as a means of confusing debates and ensure that people who are here to hear it. We have party leaders, we have group reps. I, for the life of me, cannot see why we can't just have the one budget debate and with voting at the end, as usual.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am somewhat concerned that we appear to be straying into a situation where alleged conversation with party leaders are part of the decision-making process of this council. I think if we're going to keep the Constitution, let's keep it all of the time. Certainly in the past, we've been in a habit when we wanted to suspend standing orders. I don't know whether that's not possible now. Maybe things have changed dramatically. But I do think it is our duty to have a clear debate for the benefit of the public who are coming to listen to us and make clear decisions. And that has to be the overriding consideration in this council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Davis.
Yeah, well, Mr. Mayor, the fact is that this procedure has gone through Cabinet, it has gone through the last council meetings, and it has been agreed. I'm sympathetic to the argument that in the past we've had amendments all on the table at the same time. But I just think, given the advice I've had very strongly from the head of law, is that this is the correct procedure according to our Constitution. I am happy to have further discussions following tonight about the procedure in future years, but I just think to change all this now at the 11th hour, I just think would be really, I think, the wrong way to do it. So given that, I understand that people may not have understood what we agreed, but we did agree to the last council meeting. So my suggestion is we continue with the procedure, which is in accordance with our constitution.
Why don't we just get on with it then, eh? Yes. Okay, go on.
What the council leader said, this is the way it should be done. Could I then ask the head of law, have we been doing it wrong for all the previous years?
Let's get on to
Maybe we could do
Decisions taken by council on the last occasion are all valid decisions because they haven't been challenged or undermined. So the decisions stand as they have been passed for the previous year.
Councillor, I think we agree with it. Get on with it, shall we? Okay. We'll go on to item number 6A, the corporate plan. That's made 196, Cabinet of 18th of February, and that's going to be agreed, is it?
I'll just formally move that.
Okay. That brings us on to the...
I wasn't standing.
Yes, sorry, yes, come on then, Councillor Gilchrist.
On the matter of the corporate plan, there are reservations my colleagues have, particularly in connection with youth centres, who wish to vote against the corporate plan.
Okay. I didn't give you a chance of seconding, did I? Second. Is that a point that needs to be explained by somebody? That's just a comment, is it, Councillor
I'm
Gilchrist?
quite happy for the content for there to be a vote for or against the corporate plan and not delay the budget debate.
We'll take a vote on this. Is it agreed then that Cabinet minutes is accepted? Those in favour? Those against? It's carried. Do we need to count the numbers? No. Okay. Okay, Councillor Gilchrist, that's agreed then. That's item, we've got item, I'm advised that item 6B and 6C, that's the council budget, and the council tax change, that they should both be taken together. Is that agreed by the council? That we're going to do them together? Councillor Davis? 6B and 6C, is it agreed that we deal with them together in one debate? It is agreed. Councillor Gilchrist?
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, there will be one debate, but the note to all parties and whips and members said the specific vote on 6C.
Specific, Councillor Abbey, sorry, we can't hear. Yeah, say it again, Phil.
Whilst the matters are moved together, Mr. Mayor, the advice we had, and I think for all members, that there is still a specific vote on 6C.
I think we've agreed on that, yeah. Okay. So these two items are now going to be debated together. Okay, the leader will have put forward the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm rising to propose the late budget. Clearly, Mr. Mayor, this is without doubt one of the most challenging budgets that Wirral has ever had to set. Council does face unprecedented cuts in our funding from government, requiring savings of 109 million by 2016. This amounts to 1/3 of our total budget. Over the next 3 years, it's estimated that the council will receive a 57% reduction in grants, or 62 million less from central government to spend on our services. Unfunded increased demand will account for an additional 47 million. In 2013-14, we also have to address exceptional items totalling 38.4 million, and this includes an inherited overspend from the previous administration of 17 million. Whilst a proportion of our financial challenge is due to poor budget practices in the past, I believe it's clear the lion's share of the cuts we're facing tonight are down to the policies of this government. The savings we're proposing this evening total 41 million in 2013-14 and will result in a 1% increase for the Wirral council element of the council tax and a 2% increase overall, including precepts. This is significantly below inflation, which stands at around 3%, and for a Bandy property this amounts to an increase of 48 pence per week. Now, in common with over 100 other councils, Mr Mayor, many of them controlled by the Conservatives, I do not believe it would be sensible to accept the council tax freeze grant, because this money will not be added to our base budget, which means that when the grant ends in 2015, we will have to find an additional 1.3 million of cuts, equivalent to the cost of the pensioners' council tax discount. A 2% increase in the council tax, however, will be added to our base budget and will generate an additional 2.6 million, which we will use to protect frontline services going forward. Mr Mayor, in devising this budget and in line with the corporate plan, the new corporate plan, the key priority for this administration has been to, as far as possible, protect frontline services and the most vulnerable members of society as far as we are able. It would be wrong, and I won't pretend to suggest that every vulnerable person can be protected. Given the scale of the cuts that we are facing and we're being forced to make, this would simply not be possible. We have, however, done our utmost to protect basic services through a number of measures. No children's centre, library or one-stop shop will close. As I mentioned, pensioners will continue to receive a discount on their council tax amounting to 7.6%. Additional funding of £5 million will be invested in vulnerable families. £1 million of capital funding will be invested in a new youth zone, which, contrary to the petitioner, I think is a good thing for the borough. 300,000 will be invested in an innovative project to tackle poverty. 100,000 will be invested in enhanced advice services to mitigate the impact of forthcoming benefit cuts. Funding to support the victims of domestic violence will continue, and we've also put a modest sum in the budget, around 50,000, to enhance road safety around schools. This administration also proposes to continue placing a high priority on attracting jobs and new investment. We'll therefore maintain the support we give to key projects such as Wirral Waters, developing the offshore wind sector and the return of the Oakland to Royal Lake in 2014. We'll also support the Liverpool City Region apprenticeship programme, including funding from the National Apprenticeship Service so that our young people can continue to secure the skills to obtain the new job opportunities that will hopefully be created. Mr Mayor, recognising our employees are the Council's most valuable asset and the importance of protecting frontline and low-paid workers, I am proud that we will continue to ensure that Wirral Council is a living wage employer. We've also agreed to continue to offer what I think is a generous enhanced severance scheme in order to, as far as possible, avoid compulsory redundancies. Sadly, we have had to propose a number of savings in staff terms and conditions. However, we are committed to working with the trade unions over the next year to mitigate the impact of these savings and, if possible, to identify alternatives. I make that commitment. I also want to be clear about my support for continuing to fund full-time trade union officials. I think it's disappointing that the other two parties proposed to delete this funding in their budget amendments. My personal view, and the view of my group, is that I believe this deserves support because, Mr Mayor, in a civilised society, it is important for workers to be properly represented. And trade unions play a vital role in fostering a positive industrial relations environment, which is surely in everybody's interest. Mr Mayor, a key principle underpinning this budget has been the need to spend less on the cost of running the council. To this end, our budget recommends that we save £275,000 by moving to all-out elections every 4 years and reviewing the number of meetings and committees which take place. Another guiding principle is that those with the broadest shoulders must bear the greatest burden. We will therefore save £5 million by removing layers of management. This budget also makes provision for a new model of neighbourhood working based around 4 new constituency committees based on Wirral's 4 parliamentary constituencies. We propose to devolve £50,000 to each constituency committee, a total of £200,000. Each committee will be required to draw up a plan that sets out how this funding will be spent, with a focus on tackling health inequalities. We're keen to develop additional funding and powers over time and to pool council funding with that of other agencies such as health, police, fire, etc., who also intend to operate on the same geographical footprint. Reducing budgets mean that elected members will need to play a new role, acting as champions of their community, helping to identify new funding, brokering partnerships, assisting the community to become resilient. The new neighbourhood model will facilitate this new way of working. Mr Mayor, I believe we have used the What Really Matters consultation effectively to inform our decisions on the budget, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all those members of the public who have taken part in the largest consultation this council has ever undertaken. Given the scale of the savings required for next year, we've been forced to make some difficult decisions, however. Therefore, we need to target resources on those most in need. We will have to provide less generous standards in some of our street scene services and increase some charges. I also regret having to recommend that we do not renew our sponsorship of Tramway Rovers. Whilst our partnership with Tramway has, I believe, beneficial, I do not believe we can justify this when we're being forced to make substantial cuts elsewhere in the budget. We will, however, continue to support the excellent work the club does in both local schools and the wider community across Wirral, and I'd like to place on the record my thanks to all the staff and officials at the club for their support over many years that this council has sponsored the club. Now, moving on to the issue of day centres. With regard to day centres for people with learning disabilities, I recognise the excellent work which takes place in the 6 centres which we operate in Wirral, and I've witnessed firsthand the work when I visited Easton, Heswell and Morton recently and spoke to staff and users. The challenge, however, that we face is that the usage has fallen by 1/3 from 1,200 people in 2004 to 666 in 2013. This reflects the take-up of alternative forms of support, such as further education, leisure facilities, and work placements in services such as Best Bites, which I also visited recently in Dale Farm. We therefore have a significant number of surplus places in our centres that still have to find the cost of staffing, as well as heating, lighting, and maintenance of the buildings. The option being proposed by the director is to close one centre, but it must be stressed that while the building a service is delivered in may change, nobody who requires respite or day care services will have them removed. In response to the many representations which have been made to retain all of the day centres, and in order to allow time for alternative proposals to be prepared, I can confirm that no changes to current provision will be made pending the outcome of the 3-month consultation period with service users, carers and staff. This should allow ample time for alternative proposals to be considered, and I know the Director of Adult Social Services will offer whatever support is needed to help people develop a business case with the proviso that the saving has to be delivered. Mr Mayor, even after the savings being proposed in our budget this evening have been achieved, we will still have further savings of 68 million to achieve between 2014 and 2016. This will require sustained hard work. Part of this will involve developing a programme of transformational change, where we put in place new models of service delivery. We're looking at a range of options, including shared services, mutuals, cooperative, social enterprises. And we're also visiting other local authorities to look at what they're doing in these areas, and we'll be bringing proposals forward to Cabinet over the next few months. Mr Mayor, as I said at the start of my speech, this has been the most difficult budget I certainly have ever been involved in. I believe we have a government which is using a global economic crisis to pursue an ideological attack on the public sector. Unfortunately, because we rely on central government for 80% of our income, when our budget is cut by 1/3, we are forced to make some very difficult decisions that in an ideal world we would not want to make. The fact remains, Mr Mayor, that last May the people of Wirral elected Labour to lead this council. We have therefore acted responsibly by proposing a legal budget. We have, as far as possible, made choices underpinned by our values as a progressive party which believes in local government and good quality local services. In proposing this budget, it's vital that we continue to lobby the government about the unfairness in the way they have distributed cuts in local council funding. Mr Mayor, it cannot be right that Wirral Council has suffered cuts amounting to £152 per head of the population since 2010, compared to North Dorset Council, a much more affluent area, which has lost a mere £2 per head. I am genuinely concerned about the impact of these cuts at the same time as the government's benefit cuts are also coming into effect. And I pledge my commitment to work across party lines with our MPs, other council leaders, colleagues in the trade union movement and others to continue lobbying the government to give Wirral a fair deal. Mr Mayor, in closing, may I thank all members of my group and the officers of this council for the many hours of hard work over the past 6 months in producing budget options and helping to shape this budget. This year's budget process has, in my view, been the most open and transparent I can remember, and I believe we are getting to grips with past shortcomings in the way budgets have been prepared and monitored. Finally, can I thank the public for taking part in the What Really Matters process. Thanks also to staff and trade unions who have made representations to me and other members of my group on various budget issues. Mr Mayor, I am proud to move this budget. Thank you.
Now, constitutionally, the Cabinet Member for Children's Services now is entitled to address the Council.
Okay, thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I'd like to propose the school budget for 2013-2014. Taking account of the advice from the Schools Forum, Cabinet has agreed a budget for Wirral schools and academies totaling £237 million for 2013-14. The overall funding for schools is maintained in cash terms, with adjustments reflecting changes in pupil numbers. A small amount of growth has also been identified. Pupil premium is distributing significant sums to support deprived pupils. The increase from £600 to £900 should increase the total grant by £4 million to over £13 million next year. There is also significant growth to provide early education for 2-year-olds next year, and the Council will be actively capacity building with early years providers. This budget should help to ensure Wirral schools maintain their excellent standards, results and outcomes for Wirral's children. I would recommend the school budget for 2013-14. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Now we're dealing with the First Amendment, and it's been proposed by Councillor Green. Councillor Green.
Yes. Thanks, Mr Mayor, to change procedure, so no wonder we were looking for the next proposal in a second. Mr Mayor, first of all, I just contrast the Bill's attack on by this ideological government attack on the public services with the importance of heard from this Cabinet Member for Education, talking about the extra money for the pupil premium and, of course, additional resources in terms of 2-year-old carers and so carer resources. So I think to suggest that somehow this is an ideological attack on local government is a bit overblown, to be honest. Mr Mayor, first of all, Mr Mayor, let me welcome Councillor Philip Brightmore to the Council. Council Chairman, congratulate him on, and the Labour Party, on a very good result in the recent Pensfield by-election. Congratulations. Given I've not heard a single word of congratulations to my colleagues, Councillor Cathy Hodgson and Councillor Ian Lewis, for their by-election victories earlier this year, pass from the lips of anyone from the Labour Party.
Councillor Green. I think he might be appointed there, yeah.
For the record, I did personally thank both Ian and Cathy for their...
I'm talking about in the council chamber, and we did check it.
Well, we do welcome them, don't we? Yes. We welcome them, don't we? We welcome them, yes.
We certainly do. I've still not heard any word of the Labour group to welcome Ian and Cathy. Can I just make it clear? Can I make it clear?
Ladies Members, we're going to have to keep some order here, aren't we? Will you please, Councillor Smith, we're going to listen to the speakers one at a time, and then you can have your say later. Harry. Councillor Green, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I was saying, we've not heard from anyone in the council chamber. Thanks to Councillors Ian Lewis and Councillor Catherine Hudson for their by-election victories early this year. And Mr. Mayor, it's clear to me that this isn't the only difference between ourselves and the Labour Group. In terms of our budget, Mr. Mayor, is a commitment to freezing council tax, providing our young people with the skills their employees need, and I believe that the council budget should not be balanced on the backs of the most vulnerable people in the community. And that, Mr. Mayor, differentiates Conservatives clearly from the Labour Party. Mr. Mayor, we all know that Labour got us into this mess. They doubled our national debt, took us to the brink of bankruptcy. They left Britain with the biggest budget deficit in the developed world and in our own peacetime history. However,
if you keep making a noise upstairs, we're going to have to clear the gallery, and you won't hear any of this. And members, you continue out of there if necessary. So will you all now keep quiet while we hear you? And we're still going to have a few extra minutes to clear interruptions.
I'll welcome the injury time, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your support, but it's okay. I think we can take it from there. But so thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I was saying, Labour did get us into this mess. They did double our national debt and took us to the brink of bankruptcy. They did leave Britain with the biggest budget deficit in the developed world and in our own peacetime history. But, however, Mr. Mayor, as Christine might say, there are 3 points I want you to take from me tonight. One, despite the tough financial times, the Conservative group believes that we as a council should do all we can to support hard-working people and their families, and we believe the council must do all we can to make it a little easier for pensioners and families to cope when bills arrive. For the Labour Party to send £1.3 million back to the government when it could be used to avoid an increase in council tax is truly shocking. And if it's true that this is being sent back because it comes from the Tory government, as one Labour councillor is reported as saying in the Wirral Globe, then it demonstrates an arrogance and disregard for Wirral taxpayers that is breathtaking, even by the Labour Party standards. Secondly, Mr. Mayor, we're also committed to providing opportunities for our young people to develop the skills required to find work. I hope my group is not alone in seeing a £420,000 cut to the Council's apprenticeship programme as a gross dereliction of our duty to the 2,540 18 to 24-year-old residents of Wirral looking for work. And third, Mr. Mayor, no matter how difficult the economic times or the issues facing the Council, we will never attempt to balance the Council books on the backs of the most vulnerable people in the community. And this is why we not only oppose the closure of an adult day centre, but we've also shown how, with hard work and commitment, that cash can be found to ensure this essential service is maintained and strengthened. Mr. Mayor, I've heard senior officers of this council sneering at the paternalistic approach to services such as adult day centres and special schools. But nowhere else, said he, have you come across anywhere with so much special provision. Well, Mr. Mayor, let me be clear. My group supports the outstanding work of our day centres and special schools do, and find it disgusting that the administration is prepared to spend some £2.5 million in consultants fees and temporary contracts during 12 and 13, and expect those rural residents who attend adult day centres or special schools to pay the price.
Especially after robbing them for so long.
So, Mr. Mayor, how are we going to find We believe it's vital that we do not duplicate spending and take every opportunity to invite wealthy organisations to work in partnership with us and shoulder a reasonable share of the Council's financial burden. For example, Mr Mayor, trade unions are wealthy organisations with very broad shoulders. We do not believe the council taxpayer should be expected to spend £270,000 of our hard-earned cash in council tax
What about your £29,000 expenses?
to fund full-time trade union. We therefore believe this item of growth recommended by the Cabinet can be deleted. Let me be clear, this is not an attack on the trade union. I'm a member of the trade union, Mr Mayor. and the trade unions at Wirral were very helpful when we were saving £52 million from the council budget in 2011. This is simply inviting a very wealthy organisation to play its part in supporting the council. We also believe all elements of the council, councillors, senior directors and council staff playing their part to do all we can to make it a little easier for pensioners and families to cope when bills arrive. We therefore believe additional savings can be made, and I've set them out in the body of our amendment before the council tonight.
Are you taking a cut in your expenses?
Mr Mayor, as I've explained previously, the administration's claim that all our woes are a result of government cuts is not completely true. Even the Chief Executive, who has been known to repeat this inaccuracy, has now shown its staff the truth that Wirral is losing £17 million in government grant this year. And I'm sure that even the most tribal member of the Labour group can spot that this is not the £42 million of cuts and savings contained in their budget proposal tonight. Mr Mayor, however the budget gap came about and who is responsible for it, it is still a big number and we are where we are. My group's concern is that the level of cuts proposed by the Cabinet, whilst not without precedent, are vast and will undoubtedly have unintended consequences and unforeseen impacts on local residents' lives or services. We have therefore recommended the provision of £1 million resilience fund. We believe the use of this fund should be allocated to services by the Cabinet following the recommendation of all party leaders forward. As an example of the need for this resilience fund, I received information today that the unexpected, immediate imposed cost imposed in April of £157,000 to one CVF organisation, Community Voluntary Faith-Based Organisation, will mean having to find a further £40,000. As the Chief Executive of this organisation says, we could have coped with it if cuts didn't hit till July as promised. We will really struggle to cut £157 million, but altering the timescale is going to be crippling. Mr Mayor, this is a classic example of where the fund could be applied, and I do hope, Mr Mayor, this was not the circumstances the organisation finds it in could be considered an intended consequence of the administration. So, Mr Mayor, back to why we are where we are with the budget. In 2011, the discipline and management of the strategic change programme delivered some £10.725 million of cashable benefits. Unfortunately, the Labour administration formed in May 2011 did not actively manage the change programme, and the opportunity it provided to reduce year-on-year revenue expenditure was lost. In 2012, Mr Mayor, a large amount of revenue savings was to be achieved in the strategic change programme agreed by the previous Labour administration at its special cabinet on Monday the 13th of February as an item of any other business. Unfortunately, once again, the current Labour administration decided almost as its first act to abolish the all-party arrangements for leadership, management and political oversight of the change programme included in the 2012-13 budget. Mr Mayor, sadly, once again, discipline, rigour, risk management and political oversight of the change portfolio to recommending through the establishment of the Strategic Change Board on an all-party basis to be led by the leader of the Council. Mr Mayor, our concerns that Labour administration once again failed to deliver the savings if it ignores these proposals it knows are required is the reason we've increased the amount of resources contained in the Council's balances. Mr Mayor, if this budget amendment is passed, it will result in a 0% Wirral council tax increase, train a further 200 apprentices, reverse the Labour Group's decision to close an adult day centre, maintain the entire Council's commitment to a sustainable budget, increase the Council balances from 13.6 million in the Cabinet proposal to 14.1 million, providing increased protection against